All right. Peace, peace, and blessings. Hakeem Kwame, the Success Scholar, Honorable One, Dr. Hakeem Kwame. Hope you are well. Hope you are wonderful. Life is good. Life is good. Man, I wanted to really just come really quick and just share a little bit. There's been, I just want to, just clear the air and, really expand individuals' intellectual abilities and, ensure that, you know, that the younger generation, for instance, or even some of the older generation aren't necessarily wasting their time, for instance, with dead movements and dead programs that individuals aren't truly able to move the next generation forward. And I'm speaking, for instance, about the rights programs the um, as well as some of these town hall meetings, these Pan Africanist town halls. And what do I mean, and why would I single them out? Because when you have, for instance, like a town hall, you need to be bringing and exposing individuals to the right knowledge, right? So I'm of the opinion, for instance, and this has gone on for quite some time, where people, they want to slant you. I've had it several times where, different, some of these organizations, they come together and they giving each other little cheesy awards, and just a bunch of old Negroes giving each other awards. And since they aren't doing anything for real, want to try to slight my work, right? And so I'm just not even gonna like allow for none of it to go on anymore, and I'm just going to expose these these individuals who aren't growing, right? Because again, if you, for instance, are talking about Pan Africanism, certainly in this area, there shouldn't be any question. And this is why, for instance, when I got the uh, the award on behalf of Senator Shirley Nathan Pulliam at Garvey Day, I believe it was at Garvey Day, I had to articulate that I only had a couple minutes to speak, but you know, out of everyone, Senator Shirley Nathan Pulliam got me to get the award, on her behalf, right? I mean, not that I haven't spoke there before, but it was, it was myself, right? And so I know some people, they say that they doing things for their elders, but I have one of the elders who have contributed to the Garvey Day movement that selected me. She didn't select any of the Baltimore Pan Africanists, so I'm just exposing that, right? And then it was myself, that coordinated I'm sorry, the the Mandela Fellows, operation in the Baltimore area. Now, I've been saying this for years. The potential for that network, potential for those young people was major. But, you have so-called Pan-Africanists, they running around and they, intellectually masturbating by themselves or going to these Pan-African town halls, and nobody's coming to see them, right? Why? Because they don't try to, they don't, if I may quote, for instance, they don't try to get out here and fish. Like, they don't try to expand and network with other, the youth, right? And now again, and I'll talk again about how for the past few years, I've participated in the Kwanzas at Morgan State, trying to reach the young people. I've sold hundreds and thousands of books to many of the young people, not just there, but all over. Not just young people, but all over. So people have heard my voice on different radio stations between the Baltimore and the D.C. area. When Carl Nelson came to Baltimore, many of these elders, they either wasn't listening to him, or they, for instance, many of them dissed him. There was a conspiracy with some to, even boycott him, right? I had to overcome that, right? I had to really, out organize people, but and then inch by inch, I was getting people plugging the real workers, the real builders, the real scholars on the Carl Nelson show. And many opportunities have come from that. Many opportunities have come from that for many people. The brother with the descendant of Frederick Douglass, he was just on air today, this morning. If it wasn't for me, and many of the others, even some of these Pan-Africanists that, have to, somehow choose sides now because, some of my haters, some of the Baltimore area haters have, chosen to, out of stupidity and laziness and lack of, maturity, and they think big. Some of them, they think big, but, they really just aren't built like that, and they setting themselves up for failure actually, because they over diversified their operations. And so, and unfortunately, many, because some of these old Negroes in Baltimore that run rights programs and they show up at these town halls, many people look up to them because they think that they have been out here longer, but they haven't done any substantive work like the Mandela Fellows, and they haven't done any substantive work with some of the youth in Baltimore, like some of the mayor's summer youth programs that maybe like last year I had assistance, but sometimes assistants allies turn to haters too, because they're not intellectually evolving, right? And they see what they see, and that's fine. And but here's the thing: when you have a track record like myself, and I got some people that don't even invite me on their radio shows, but I'm like, all right, whatever. I don't care that much. Look, I done been out here enough. The right people listen to me, and now, I know that some of these people are really just crazy, right? They don't have the level of emotional intelligence, right? You see my shirt? I hope you like it. Success Leaves, because I'm a success scholar, right? So they don't have like some of the emotional maturity to grow to another level. And so when I'm confident that, and you can check out my last video, Pan-Africanism and Poverty, where I discussed that. But I'm just wanting to expand on that conversation because again, some people gonna get left behind, right? And unfortunately, I can only help but so many people at this time, and ultimately you have to be prepared to do for self. You have to do for self. And shout out, I just watched. There was a forum on Elijah Muhammad. There was a sort of like a discussion, like many different of the trees of Elijah Muhammad, right? In Black History Month, there was a conference that Brother Malik Shabazz did, and talking about Elijah Muhammad, and many people of the offshoots came together to discuss his work, and so you can look at that on YouTube. So when you're trying to build different types of movements, you have to study these different movements. I went the other day. I didn't see some of these Pan-Africanists, Associated Black Charities. They had, Brother Paul Coates. Shout out to Paul Coates, the father of Ta-Nehisi Coates. I got a book and I got to finish reading that, but I'm almost through. But reading that, but I was there, and none of these so-called Pan-Africanists were there. But they want you to come to a town hall meeting, and then they don't even, mention. See, and this is what I'm saying, and not just the work that's done here. And let me just say, the work that has been done in Africa. I mean, because you have different people. You have people that hate on the work, for instance, that I've done in Africa, that I made happen in Africa, because a lot of things would not have happened if it wasn't for me. Like many of the trips that were to Africa, they would not have happened if it wasn't for me. So, but now, I'm able to recognize, right, that sometimes you start where you are, you build, and you expand out. You don't try to pretend like you big and like you big and people gonna respect you all over the world, and like somehow they gonna just drop a bag of money, especially from Africa. Ain't nobody in Africa dropping just bags of money on you. But anyway, so but what I will say to that is, some of these so-called Pan-Africanists that participate in these, town halls, they won't give, proper, kudos, although they don't go to Africa. They never been and had nobody, they haven't took, connected to bring anybody to Africa. And, they're not going to support anybody in bringing people to Africa, right? And so, and most, for instance, are just stuck ultimately. And again, you cannot like overlook, the history of the success scholar, right? You're not gonna, remove the success scholar out of the history of black consciousness, certainly in the Baltimore as well as in the DMV. And I was the last one to bring Steve Coakley, for instance, and the last one to bring Dr. Francis Cress Welsing to the Baltimore area for both of them transition, right? And so, I read many of the books, of course, and I did, try to keep ASCAC in the Baltimore area, Association Study for Classical African Civilizations. Went to some of the black psychologist conferences, the Association of Black Psychologists. I was actually a board member of the Baltimore Association of Black Psychologists, with several of the Baltimore local brothers. But yes, I did go to the National Association of Black Psychologists conference, as well as the ASCAC conference. I try to keep it alive. ASCAC, the ASCAC study group, try to get some folks, but I'm not begging anybody. I got to keep it moving. I got to keep it moving if, I'm not going to run around nobody, try to say, hey, this is what you need to read, this is what we need to read. Like, okay, if it makes sense, it makes sense. Like, if ASCAC didn't make sense to some of you, then, and that's why, it kind of went down, because people just want to do their own thing and pretend like they the grand poobah, the grand sheiks, the grand, imams, the grand jegnas or whatever, and ultimately, they don't appreciate our elders, like, Dr. Clark, who, were some of the founders of ASCAC, right? And so I try to keep that alive, and that's documented. The Mideast regional, when they think about who's in Baltimore, they think about myself and Brother Chris. He did a lot of work with that as well. So, but without further ado, the work continues to get done. I'm pleased that I was able to get an award by Dr. Arcana. And I have her book somewhere where I always keep her book handy, but definitely Dr. Arcana book. And I got awarded at Howard University, and I saw, for instance, how some people, it's deep rooted, the psychology and anatomy of hate, of the crabs in the barrel. Because I had people, for instance, that I have, exalted in my space, that, they came late and left early. They came late when I got an award by Dr. Arcana. One of the only persons. There wasn't someone else that got an award, but people who know who she is, and that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm just like, you can't pretend you some Pan-Africanist if you don't know who Dr. Arcana is. If you don't know who PLL Lumumba is, you Americanize Negroes, right? And with dashikis on. Yes, that's it. And you dress up and play drums. That's it. And you just hang around in Baltimore. Don't go to DC. Don't go to the and connect with the brothers, the cultural conscious brothers and sisters in DC. And matter of fact, I'll be in DC this Friday. This building, it's Ghana Independence type day thing going on. Exclusive. So, when you have someone like me, and then people try to write you out of history. Like, you eventually have to, like myself, I have to eventually plant these seeds, right? I mean, I get every once in a while, I get on Carl Nelson show. Oh, but I did just drop a good article in the Baltimore Times, and so many people are familiar with the Baltimore Times. I also have been writing for the National Black Unity newspaper for the past 7 years, so people have read my articles out here, and so I'm not pretending, I'm not allowing for these few people, to, ignore or write me out of history. Like, so shout out to Barbara Charlie Duggar. Appreciate that elder. You know what I'm saying? Like, for real. Like, no, he had me speak a few years ago, and I dropped the knowledge. I was just coming from somewhere, but people know who to call. Shout out to Everyone's Place Bookstore, where I've got more books and money, more black hands, in the white black folks' hands. You wouldn't even imagine how many Amos Wilson books I got into some real people's hands. Like, so this is the kind of real work that go on. See, outside of YouTube, outside of these town halls that people do that nobody shows up to, and they keep on, saying the same thing over and over, and there's no growth. There's no growth happening. So I'm saying, if you are in the DMV area or anywhere else, for instance, and you get invited to some different types of town halls, or if you got children and they invite you to be a part of some rights program or some youth program, make sure you ask the Success Scholar first. Ask the Success Scholar, because honestly, I believe sincerely, that, and sometimes people, I remember one time I went to this awards thing at, what's that spot up on Primrose? They wanted to give me like a couple seconds to speak. I'm like, man, like, really? I'm like, man, I don't want to have to flex like that. I shouldn't have to. It's like, damn, like, man, don't be just I brought the citations from Annapolis. Like, I brought the citations from Annapolis, and I've got citations for a few people, for a few different organizations over the years, right? That nobody else has the consciousness to do. See, what's happening, some of these people, right, they believe in this independent black party ideas, and they haven't done anything. They haven't done anything to create like an independent black party. Like, so, I'm not saying, I'm just not gonna try that. Like, it just you're not gonna get nobody. Ain't nobody following that. Like, if Jesse Jackson didn't do it, and Bob Johnson, the multi-billionaire Diddy, didn't do it, like, you need some money. Like, who gonna just listen and sign some petitions? Like, and these people have been trying to do this for decades. So I know that sometimes people, get a little, I ain't gonna say angry with me, and I'm not trying to cheerlead anybody towards anything, but it's contradictory, because on one end, for years I heard things about, we need to get some black conscious people in the office, and then when I run, y'all nowhere to be found. But then you have town hall meetings, and you just sit around and talk and talk and talk, and you want to talk about Cuba. Well, I went to the Cuban embassy. I was invited to the Cuban embassy by Brother Mel Foote. I was invited to the Tanzanian embassy by Brother Mel Foote. And I'm just saying, don't start hating to any elders. No, I'm just saying, don't stop inviting me anywhere. Because a few people want to, they want to stop the rise. They want to be sabotaged, and that's what I'm saying. And not to compare myself to Garvey like that, but I saw that, and I read how, allegedly that the Garvey ships were sabotaged. Now, I have my own little saboteurs around, that have, attempted to, do things to cost me hundreds and thousands of dollars. But, fortunately, I've been able to, truly like really check that and overcome that. And so now it's like, okay, let me just escape this without any of these, provocateurs, tentative potential agents sabotaging the operations any longer. So, I'm just simply saying I'm at a level where, I certainly should be growing and manifesting a little bit more. I mean, I'm definitely confident that more and more people, as long as I keep planting seeds in different places, as long as I keep showing up like how I showed up. You can check out the Baltimore Times article that I just dropped. 3 days in Annapolis. I spent days. See, that's the core of international organizing, right? This is a core of, work between DC. And this is why, when I share stuff on WhatsApp, to expand beyond, I share things on Nextdoor, for my local people, international on WhatsApp, local Nextdoor. They love me on Nextdoor. Like the local brothers and sisters around here, because I share jewels and build their confidence. I build their confidence with just some print stuff, just some print. It may not be like hundreds of people following, but it's just like I see them at different places. They're like, oh, it's so good to meet you. I see you on Nextdoor. You know what I'm saying? So see, when you have such high level of some decent pictures, from places, some good video, from places that people, are excited, you're bringing life to people, right? You're giving people inspiration and motivation, right? So, I'm excited about the future. I'm very focused and determined. Heading to something tomorrow with Associated Black Charities. Yes, they're a premier organization, certainly in the Baltimore area. I've been asked to speak on another panel. Yes, another panel. In April, I did speak on an extraordinary panel just in November. A few people came. Some haters didn't come because they don't want to see me shine. But, I'm pleased that Associated Black Charities had me speak once, and I'm actually speaking again. And all I have to do is just be healthy. And let me tell you, I've just been doing some healthy things. I just did this body scan, so I know what I need to work on, exercise-wise, to build myself. But I've been, just hitting the weights and running and, stretching and, just doing everything. Seeing my chiropractors and, doing, different types of things so that I can be at an optimal physical agility level, right? And so, because that's important. I'm telling myself as well. Like, I know what's important because I need to survive. I need to be around so that 5-10 years from now, I can share my own story, right? I'm not waiting for no invites from these people. And so for those that are looking in the Baltimore and DMV area to do some real work, to be in places that with builders and thinkers and international builders and thinkers, not just people who don't never have no Africans around them, but want to claim they Pan-Africanists, right? So, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, no hard feelings. I get it. Like, look, I've been in various communities. I was just on a Zoom this Sunday. I had to share with somebody. Like, look, the ERs in DC, they love me. The ER Marie, you can ask her about me. They in DC, they love me. They love Hakiami. Like, don't let people in Baltimore get you all twisted. Don't let people, the Yoruba folk love me in DC. Like, no question. Mama C called me. She wanted to see me when she was in town. Still, like, they know it wasn't me. They know they love me, right? So I'm simply saying, progress is being made. I'm very focused, very determined. And let me just say, and sometimes people see these people with these little town halls, they be adding people's names, trying to pump, build these few little networks, and they want to ignore myself. And even, like some people who've been doing real work in Africa, real substantive, I mean, like real work in Africa. I mean, I give some people some credit. I mean, outside of some craziness, right? You know what I'm saying? Some people do some good work. Maybe a little bit too much good work, because you have some haters that will absolutely still hate on you, right? And not mention you in the other names of so-called people. And that's why I'm just like, man, y'all should just change y'all name. Just say it's the Baltimore, call yourself the Baltimore Black Think Tank or the Black MAGA Plus Black Think Tank or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Just you don't have to call yourself like a Pan-Africanist, like for real. So, because ain't nothing popping about Africa that you're doing outside of, maybe just, maybe a quote or something, some historical, discussion or conversation. But anyway, I'm not arguing, I'm not fighting, I'm not beefing. But if you don't want to waste time in life, if you're young and you're ready to grow to another level, holla at the Success Scholar. We're making moves. I'll be in Annapolis on Friday. So that's going to be a good look. That's going to be a power move, power look. So I'm looking forward to, going to another level, and a lot of other good things are going on. But, definitely, it's time for me to grow and go to another level. So, I continue to ensure that everybody around me, and so, it's like a chessboard, like pawns and rooks and what's the other one? Damn, I don't know. Pawns and shit. I ain't played chess in so long. Never mind. I don't even want to think about it. Kings and queens, but see, some people are just gonna be pawns forever. Like, wow, I'm like doing real strategic Amos Wilson 2.0 type things. People sitting around being angry old men and haters. Like, so that's all that's going on. So progress is being made. Stay tuned to the Rise of the Success Scholar. I'm looking forward to tomorrow. I'll be in Annapolis tomorrow, actually, and tomorrow and on Friday I'll be there. So progress is being made. Ready to go to another level. I'm so focused, so determined, to succeed and achieve. So I stay reading, stay healthy, and stay ready to go to another level. So peace and blessings, peace and blessings. Just stay connected. Good books to get. Of course, Dr. Eric Connor's book. Where is it? Where is it? No, that's my other laptop. I thought it was here, but I wanted to show that one. Peace and blessings, peace and blessings. Thank you, King. Thank you, King. Or Queen. Not sure who's that, but thank y'all for tuning in, listening. Do share, like, subscribe. Raising Consciousness and Capital. Harambe Books page on Facebook. Hakish Kwame on Facebook. Raising Consciousness and Capital on YouTube. Stay connected. I'm also on LinkedIn, Hakish Kwame, as well as TikTok. And so sometimes I do my small AI clips. So I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Definitely support the Success Scholar. You can Google Success Scholar. I also started the We Be Maryland movement. Shout out, I was just in, and definitely check out the Baltimore Times article. I was just at National Harbor with South County folks, so that was a strategic power move. Most people wouldn't, understand it, and so you got to build different allies. That's right. Don't let people minimize you. Don't let people isolate you. Just continue to build allies, right, and ensure that your allies got some common sense to make sure that they appreciate you, they respect you, they answer their texts, they don't cuss you out on Facebook, because you got some a little bit of crazies going on, like, right, for real. There's some crazies out here that you've been nice to, and they just like, wow, man, it's a Baltimore thing. So I get it. There's some mental health things going on. So, and this is why you got to be careful. You got to be careful in these different groups, because people will snap on you in a fraction of a second. Like Neely Fuller. Yes, I've read Neely Fuller's work, and I was present when he came a few times. And yes, and Dr. Francis Cress Welsing. But people talk about, we need to be unified. Neely Fuller said, No, stay far away from fault until you able to, in a healthy way, come together to neutralize racism, white supremacy. You need to stay apart, and that's what I'm seeing. That's what I see with these different groups that they're always, they're always fighting. They're always yelling and thinking of fighting. They're jealous of people, and unfortunately, they don't overcome poverty, like how I have attempted to do with myself, regardless of where I am, and what level I'm on. It's like I've been intentional, and this is why I'm getting invited to different things with people talking about stocks and things. I mean, I'm not doing no crazy like stocks, and let's be some people like, yeah, invest in the bombing, invest in the with some of these different wild ass companies, like some of those that's building tanks and shit. I'm sorry, you got some people that sorry to use profanity, but you got some people out here that say all kind of crazy stuff. They just greedy out their mind, call themselves Christians and stuff too. But I'm like, I don't know what kind of Christian invest in like tanks and armament and bombs. Like, really, man, are you serious? But anyway, I guess anything for money. I guess it's like, oh shoot, if you can't beat them, join them. But nah, man, I'm not like, see a lot of Negroes out here like that, the Boyce Watkins of the world. Now, I ain't saying that he would suggest that, but I'm just saying that some people, they don't have no moral compass, right? And that's what I'm saying. That's what real, being really truly centered mean. And by the way, many of these people, they wouldn't know Baruti if it wasn't for me and Wally Mo Baruti. I read many of his books, sold many of his books to many other people. Yes, so definitely, it's been an honor to do that as well. As well as Baba Kamal Cambone. I brought them I brought the Cambones to Baltimore, to the Great Blacks and Wax Museum. Some of these Pan-Africans came, some of them didn't. So it's whatever, man. So I'm like, you can look up those people if you serious and you conscious and you got any sense about anything, but or you can just keep looking at YouTubes and getting dumbed down and just staying in your little small circles. But for me, I gotta eat, I gotta produce, I have to work, I have to be healthy, I have to just be, have some goods and services, create some products, right, and partner with the right people and be an asset, and ensure that people, that they're not looking, in a self-hating way, that they're not like thinking like in a economically defeatist way, because sometimes these black men, they get in these female relationships and they just become simps, in relationships. Let me just be clear, because some people, they want to think somehow, like, damn, I mean, they got a woman, and and sometimes it's good to have some sisters, but sometimes some sisters will slow you the hell down, like for real. And you can't be, you gotta be like Harriet Tubman. I just said that Frederick Douglass, Harriet Tubman. What Harriet Tubman do when her man, she came back for the Negro, and he like, no, I ain't going nowhere. So I'm simply saying, as a conscious black man, some of you men who are intellectually weak and intellectually simps, if you don't have the wisdom, the intelligence, you haven't read the right books, you haven't gone to any conferences, you can't tell people what to think about me. Like, you haven't read the books that I have. You don't know the people that I know that's teaching me. You don't watch what I watch on YouTube. You don't have a library like me. You haven't studied at Everyone's Place bookstore. You haven't been to the Power Network conference. You haven't gone to the CBC conference for nothing. Like, you haven't met people a day. You don't go to Maryland Black Caucus conferences. So I'm just saying, you're not qualified. You're not qualified to judge or make opinions or pretend that somehow you have a better movement or better plan. Like, it's just not reality. And I'm simply saying, I'm just not going to allow for you to get away with ignoring certain things again. So, if I got to put it out on YouTube to create like some, you know, beef or however, like, figure it out. Figure it out. Man up, grow, build, show up. Like, impress somebody. You don't have to impress me because you don't have to like me, but impress somebody because, yes, I'm saying it. You should be impressed with what I'm doing. Somebody is going to be impressed. And I don't care if nobody in the planet, in the world care, because I already got, and I got a humanitarian award in New York. Yes, you saw it from 3, not 1, not 2, but 3 New York senators, 3 New York senators. And later on, Maryland, Senator Joe Carter, shout out. She gave me an award for my 20 years of service, and I got one from the Black Caucus when I got my honorary doctorate. Yes, I got an honorary doctorate. Actually, let me just tell y'all, I was offered one before. But somebody very good to me offered me one, and I was like, wow, I appreciate that offer. So I believe that sincerely someone respects me enough to give me one. So I am grateful for that, and so I will, accept this, honorary doctorate. And so, yes, I did get one, but I was offered another one some 6-7 years ago. But I just wanted to encourage and, say that, I'm grateful and honored for that. But I did get, an award from the whole, in front of all the black legislators last year at the annual 2000, at the Black Caucus, at the Maryland Black Caucus Foundation event. So yes, in front of 470 paid black, Marylanders, and yes, and many of them paid between $250 and $350. So yes, I have to be this way because I'm dealing with many personalities, and some people, want to ignore, undermine. I sent somebody a text today, and they didn't read it, and then I had to go back, and they're like, "Oh." I'm like, look, what the hell am I sending stuff for my health? Like, what is this about? Like, what am I like? Where's the respect here? Goddamn, like, am I? Is this important or what? So I'm just like, look, I gotta change my whole little, it's called posturing in sales. Like, you gotta change your whole, like, and not be a simp, like, about certain things. Especially when certain things intellectually make sense. Like, so I can't be dumbed down by people anymore. But yes, so those are some of the awards that I got. So if you don't see me in some of these little corny spaces, getting recognized, don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. Don't think that that's a big place or important place to be recognized. So yeah, that's one of the delegates responding. This is the article. Let me show you. This is the article in the. You can't see it. Oh yeah, there you go. 3 days in Annapolis, Black Excellence on display in the Maryland State Capitol by Haki Ami. Check it out on Baltimore Times, BaltimoreTimes.com, I believe, or B Times, whatever that is. So definitely. So progress is being made. Stay tuned to the Rise of the Success Scholar. I'm focused, I'm determined to win, ready to execute, and, so just letting everyone know we are moving forward. Hopefully I'll see some of you in D.C. Friday to the Ghana event. If you don't know, ask me. If you're ready to go to another level, definitely it's a free event. Good quality, well-rounded people will be there. Women's History Month. Shout out to all my sisters. Appreciate the black woman, of course. So, what else? well, I'm not going to say what's in Annapolis. You just got to find out and, reach out. I'm not going to mention specifics about what operation I'm going to, because I don't necessarily care if some people come or not at this particular stage. But, for those that are friends, like for those that are friends and care and support me, do reach out if you desire to participate, in something extraordinary, in global African progress, global black progress. So, all right, I'm out. Peace and blessings. Hakeem Cormie, the Honorable One, Success Scholar, Dr. Hakeem Cormie. Shout out to my aunt. Happy birthday to my auntie. Had a good time, and Saturday I'll be in Eastern Shore. I had a death in the family. I have a set of twins in my family. Dean, Donald, Don. What's the other one? Shoot. Oh my gosh, I can't remember the other one's name. Dean. Well, the one that's Dean, Donald, David. I know. I knew I would get it. All right, yeah. So I'll be at my funeral on Saturday, back in DC, and on Sunday I may be in Prince George's County. We'll figure it out. I appreciate being in Prince George's County the other day. Had some good friends there, so I appreciate all the love that I got. So progress is being made. I'm out. Peace. If I can sign this out. Gotta move this thing to sign out. Shoot. Darn it. This is crazy. Let me hit it like that.